Yo people, wagwan, welcome back. I don't know, this is the King Boss. Now, this game got a lot of hate from a lot of people for a very long time, and I finally decided, you know what, let me go ahead and check this out myself. I was a big Mass Effect fan. I played 1, 2, and 3, loved it. And yes, I didn't love the ending of 3, but it was okay. Mass Effect Andromeda is a different story. Let's jump into this one. Alright, first things first, Mass Effect Andromeda is no longer in the Milky Way, it's in the Andromeda Galaxy. Secondly, you take up the role of Pathfinder after your father dies. You are one of two twins, and you just have this super smart AI in your head that helps you through all your missions. You're a Pathfinder, which means that you are the actual person that goes out to find worlds that are inhabitable or not and make them habitable. So that's the general gist of who you are. You were a part of the Alliance. You're a trained soldier in everything. And the thing about this game, unlike previous games where you're limited to one class, in this game you can actually equip as many abilities as you want and switch between them when you want to. So you can have soldier abilities, you can have biotic abilities, and you can have tech abilities, which I quite liked because mixing and matching was quite good. So while playing this game, I fully understood why people hated it. I fully agreed with it, and I actually endorsed the hate, right? Because to push a game like this out in such a broken state. Now, this game came out in 2017. I played this game in its entirety in August of 2021. And when I tell you that the bugs that are there 4 years after release are just incredible, I understand the hate. So let's deal with the elephant in the room first, which is the bad stuff about this game, and then we can speak about the few good things I did like. Now, please note that this list is not extensive. This is just the stuff that stood out to me whilst I was playing the game. Some of the stuff I really don't even remember because there was just so much wrong with this game. But let's make a start. The first thing that I thought was really silly, and it wasn't a glitch, but it was a feature that they actually added in, which I didn't like. It was planet scanning. It felt slow, it felt dated. This was something that was present back in Mass Effect 1, whenever that came out. The animations, some of them cannot be skipped. So for example, when you're traveling from one, I guess, cluster to another one, it shows the entire animation. Now that might be a loading screen thing that they tried to overcome, but it was done in such a horrible way because after seeing that same animation for the 100th time, after scanning 100 planets, it's just like, really, not this again. Some of the animations can be skipped, so when you're within a cluster and you're going from planet to planet, you can skip those, but from cluster to cluster, those are not skippable. I thought this was really silly. Another thing that kind of annoyed me, but I actually didn't get footage of this or I can't find it, is that sometimes when having a conversation with someone, the text that you're supposed to choose is sometimes very hard to read because the backdrop of the text isn't a different color to, let's say, the person's clothing or the background of the actual video on screen. So sometimes I had to squint or go in really close to read something. It's not the end of the world. It's not really a big deal because the text does highlight, so sometimes it's clear, but it's just another thing that they could have easily worked on. All the conversations, once you're having a conversation, the text, the choosable text should be just a darker background, for example, like black, and then maybe have the text yellow. Maybe it won't look great, but at least it will be easily readable. So the mission setup was another thing that was really weird. So this game, I think, felt longer than it actually was because there was this constant back and forth to do very simple tasks. For example, there was one mission where this lady called Sloane Kelly, I believe she was. So you had to meet Sloane Kelly, speak to her, have a conversation. Then you travel to some planet, you meet Sloane Kelly at the mission area, and after speaking to her, you then go and do the mission and speak to her again. Now, I found that kind of weird. It felt kind of unnecessary. So you meet Sloane Kelly, You meet at the mission area, and after mission, you have to then travel somewhere else to meet Sloane Kelly to finish the mission. I'm just like, she was just right there. She was, and at times I've even had squad mates right next to me. I've done the mission with them, and then I still have to go back to my ship and travel to a different location to speak to the same squad mate that's standing right next to me for the mission to finish. This was weird design. I've already said this, but there are too many transportation animations, right? Every time you travel somewhere, there's some animation that you have to sit through. And personally, I didn't like this. It might have been better to just have images, screenshots, or just do the traditional thing. We just have a static image on screen. I don't know. But every time you have to go in and out of your ship, that was another thing as well. So imagine you park your car outside your house and you want to go, I don't know, put something in your car, or plug something into your car. Before you can plug something into your car, you have to get in the car, start it, drive to work, plug the thing that you had at home in your car, plug it in, drive back home. That just made no sense. So there were instances where I had to go onto my ship. So my ship is docked literally right next to me, and I wanted to, for example, read an email. But for me to read that email, I have to get onto the ship and fly out of whatever atmosphere I'm in just to read the email, just so that they could play the animation, and then fly back into the atmosphere, land the ship, and go do the thing I need to do. I'm just like, really? So that's why I said this game felt a lot longer than it actually was, because we have this repetition going back and forth, constantly going back and forth thing. Now I fully understand that this was probably that team's first try at using the Frostbite engine to create this kind of game, and the camera had a really close-up, really shaky thing. The eyes, I did watch reviews before, and I did hear the issue with the eyes. I didn't experience the weird looking in the opposite direction, but I did experience eyes just constantly moving all over the place, right? It wasn't that annoying to me, because to be honest, I expected so many bugs in this game that was one of the least annoying ones. But yeah, the camera was way too close. The eyes were a bit funky, but I could live with that. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but it annoyed me so much and made this game so much longer than it needed to be that I have to mention it again. Now, constantly speaking to someone on this side of the galaxy, traveling to whatever cluster they're in on the other side of the galaxy, just to have a conversation, just to do one silly mission where you kill maybe 5 people and then travel back to the other side of the galaxy just to speak to them after you were just on a mission with them, just so that they can say to you, oh, thank you for doing this, or you were amazing. It just felt so infuriating, so frustrating. Now, this game could have been so much better. Now I'm going to go ahead and detail the 1 or 2 things I did actually like about the game. Now, as I've said before, I've played all the Mass Effect games, and the one thing, the massive improvement in this game over the previous ones was just a fluid movement. Now, this game was very different from that one in the sense that this was more about exploration, and you just happen to meet someone that wants to kill you, whereas that game was someone wanted to kill you the entire time, right? I love the movement of this game. It was very fluid. The jetpack made it so nice and easy to get around, and I hope this is a feature that they actually keep for Mass Effect 4 when that eventually comes out. I love the verticality of this game as well. So a lot of times you're climbing mountains, you're jumping on top of buildings, you're climbing on top of crates, and I love that you could go really vertical, and that gave you an advantage when in a firefight, for example. The AI companions that you have are actually really good. I don't know if it's because I left my gameplay difficulty on normal or whatever it was, but they were really good. I never had to do anything. There were some missions where, just to test my theory, I just had them do everything, and the only thing they won't do is activate something or open a door, but they will literally kill every enemy without going down, and you just take cover and chill. Especially when you use the Krogan, he attacks people and he uses his axe, I believe it is, and he just demolishes everyone. But this is the same for everyone else, as in all the crew members you have are really capable, and I never had to revive any of them, and they could literally go through the entire mission and do everything, and all I had to do was wait for them to kill everyone, and then open a door and I'm done. That's it. So the crew member, the AI is really good, but again, that might for some people be like, oh, actually the AI was too good. I never got to do much because they never go down. They're always okay. They're always killing everything. So, but for me, it was okay. I didn't. I'm there for the story, and that's another thing. That's a nice way to transition. I think the story was decent. I think they had a really good thing here. They could have flushed it out a bit more. I don't think the conversations I had in this game meant anything. I don't think the choices I made meant anything. I think it was already decided by the people who made the game what path we should go along, what we should do. It just felt not like a Mass Effect game. It felt like just a normal single player game where you speak to people, you have a few branching conversations, and then that's it. Right? Because none of the choices I made seem to have any effect on the end game. And that's not really nice for a Mass Effect game. But again, the story was decent. I love the fact that the Archon, the main bad guy, so that green guy you saw earlier, he's the main bad guy in this one. But the game and the story sets you up for a much bigger enemy in the background, and it's the Archon's race. And there's this other new not series, species that comes in, and they're called the Jordan. Now they're the ones that actually created the new species, the new friendly species you meet in Andromeda called the Angara. So they're actually created by the Jordan. Now I'm very curious as to what the story after this would be, because this game didn't feel like a fully flushed out thing. It felt like a setup for something else. It didn't feel like this was it and we're not going to do anything else. This just felt like, okay, this is a beginning of another trilogy. But that's obviously not going to happen because this game tanked. Not anyone, but not many people liked it. I think at this point everyone, well, it's a known fact that there's not going to be a Mass Effect Andromeda 2. So I want you guys to stay tuned for what I think I would want from a Mass Effect 4. That video is going to be coming out at some point within the next 2 weeks. I've been making notes, and this is something, again, this is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. It was so well written, it was so new, it was so interesting. I want to see it continue, but there are certain things that I would like to see, certain story choices that would make sense. I think they do have to acknowledge Andromeda. They can't just leave it out in the air by itself. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do the whole thing. Peace.